I strongly believe that whatever we know theoretically and whatever we do practically will make no difference for our salvation, for our families, for our friends, co-workers, until we really become aware of God's strong presence, until we become infused with His presence, until we are immersed in His presence, until we literally live in a real presence of God. People cannot go to heaven and live with Him there before they learn to live with Him here. All people of faith in the Bible have walked with God. Don't expect to make a big step in the beginning. No child starts school doing calculus. Everybody starts with 1 + 1. Okay? Don't look for big accomplishments. Look for Jesus. And He's going to take you one step at a time. He is patient with us. We are not patient with us. And so I'm going to give you an example of what it means to continually seek Jesus. Not make a decision today and then nothing happens in 2 weeks and you cool down and drop it. But to continually, as a lifestyle, keep seeking Jesus. When I was small, you may have heard the story. I love telling this story. When I was small, I was 6. My wife was 3. I saw her and I put my eyes on her. Now I want you to remember this part. I put my eyes on her. I'm not joking. I really put my eyes on her. When I saw her coming to church with her father and her sister, hand in hand, her sister always smiling, my wife always serious. I said to my sister, I like that girl, the serious one. And my sister shook her head. She said, and how do you like her? I said, well, I'm gonna marry her. She was 3 and I was 6. And my sister shook her head and said, you don't know what love means. You are going to change your mind 1,000 times. You'll not even remember her. Plus, her dad is an architect, her mom is a math teacher. Your dad is just a construction worker. You and her fly 2 different levels. And I said, you don't know love. And she shook her head and she said, forget it. Well, now listen carefully. What did I ask you to remember? What sentence? I put my eyes on her. You know what is the next sentence? I kept my eyes on her. She kept coming to church. I kept watching her all the time. Watching her, watching every move, watching how she walks, how she talks, everything. I started to learn about her. I was in 7th grade at the choir singing in the rear right tenor. She eventually, 2 years later, came at the choir in the front left singing alto. The pastor was preaching. People were watching the pastor. I was watching her. It was like I had a spring at my neck, keeping my head that way. If you turn my head, it would go back. And I kept watching her. And friends would say, come on, it's obvious. Stop watching her. And I said, why would I care what people think? They are not going to marry her. I will. But people talk about it. I said, and what? Nobody can stop people talking. They talk until they die. Let them talk. My father used to say, dogs bark, bear keeps walking. Let the dogs bark, I keep walking my direction. You follow? I went and talked to her. I said, you know, I like you. I want to marry you. She said, you don't know me. I said, oh, I do know you. You just don't know. I said, I know everything about you. I knew what she likes, colors, food, dress, everything. I got a Ralph Lauren handkerchief. In that time, people didn't have one-time use napkins. You know, people had handkerchiefs, you remember? And they used to wash them and reuse them. Okay. I got Giorgio Armani spray, sprayed the Ralph Lauren handkerchief, and kept it there only for her. Never used it, because girls are emotional. If you wait enough, time comes when you see them crying. So sure enough, I was waiting and waiting and waiting. One day, she says, let me go with the youth in the park. And her father said, no, you have homework, you go home. She started to cry. I was there watching. I gave her the handkerchief. She took it, cleaned her eyes, and she said, wow, it smells nice. In my mind, it is for you. It has been waiting. And I kept my eyes on her. And I started to think about her, how it would be when we will be together forever. And I started to dream of her and to wake up in the morning thinking of her. And I told her, I said, listen, I love you. And she said, I know now that you keep watching me. Are you stalking me? I said, no, I'm just loving you a lot. You can call it stalking, I call it extreme love. I don't care how you call it. And then I started to talk to her. I said, what do you study? She said, we don't study. You may want to say what I read. Well, I read the Count of Monte Cristo, she said. I said, well, I am reading Thoughts from the Mount of Blessings. She said, isn't it boring? I said, no. In fact, let me give you a story. And I gave her a story from my life with God. And then she said, that's really interesting. I never heard that before. And then I gave her another story. And tomorrow we met again and gave her another story. And then tomorrow we met again and gave her another story. And then tomorrow we met again and she started to study. And we studied together Thoughts from the Mount of Blessings. And then we studied together Steps to Christ. And then we studied together This Hour of Ages. And then we studied together Christ Object Lesson. And then we studied together. And we kept meeting and studying together. And then she started to share that she started to pray and she started to experience God. And we grew closer and closer to each other and to God. And after 3.5 years, we got married 32 years ago. And that was only the beginning. I kept watching her and our love started to grow more and more. It was not that, oh, she looks like Angelina Jolie. And then you see somebody looking better. Oh, she looks like, you know. It was not that type of love. It was the heart love, the character love, the relationship love. That even if we grow older, and I, oh, my hip, and she says, oh, my neck. You follow me? I love her heart. And I cannot function without her. And in the night, I cannot go to sleep and we talk on the phone until we fall asleep on the phone. And I don't eat well without, I do it. She doesn't, okay? And I cannot sleep well without her, and I cannot breathe well without her, and I cannot dress myself without her. I am handicapped. I have to call her. I take this shirt. What tie goes to this shirt? And she tells me, take this tie, and ta-ta-ta. I don't care colors, but she does. Anyway. And so we don't function well alone because we are one only together. So let me ask you. We say, oh, how I love Jesus. Really? Do you watch Jesus that way? Hello? You started to get it, don't you? Where I am going. Do you watch Jesus that way? Do you dream with Jesus and you say, I can hardly wait. I can hardly wait to see you. Do you keep your eyes on Him from morning to night when you go to the church, when you study, when you walk? Do you dream about being with Him forever? If not, you really don't love Jesus. You just say you love Jesus. And that's the reason we have no joy. And that's the reason we have no peace when we go through struggles. And that's the reason we have no faith or victory or power, we miss it altogether. Because while we call ourselves Christians, we don't have an intimate relationship with the God of the religion that we have.